Welcome back to another episode of Unabashed. This is probably one of my most unabashed, provocative, real conversations of my entire career, because this is going to be the untold story behind my TEDx talk, how I almost got denied as a TEDx speaker, and why I refuse to edit my message about pleasure, power, and body. So, what happens when your TEDx talk gets hidden? That's a question that I have been sitting with since the day I found out my talk, The Pleasure Edge, How Good Can You Stand It, was quietly buried in the TEDx files on their YouTube and on their platform. They said it was too sensual, too embodied, too provocative, too much. But what they were really saying was tone it down, make it safer. Don't make people uncomfortable with that much feminine power. And even more specifically, that much Middle Eastern feminine power. This is what almost got me denied as a TEDx speaker because they wanted me to change my talk. They wanted me to remove words like body intelligence, tantric intelligence. They wanted me to remove words like orgasm. And they thought that my performance, right, my talk was a performance, that it was too sensual, that it was too embodied for their liking and their stage. There's a whole slew of feedback that I got that I'm going to share with you openly and publicly that most people don't get back. But because I had the audacity to not play nice and to stand firm in the message that I have devoted my entire life and career to, that pleasure is not a sin, that it is not frivolous, but that it is a superpower and a necessity for well-being, for health, and for healing. So you're about to hear the real story behind my talk, the politics, the edits, the censorship, and the deeper truth about what happens when a woman has the audacity to dare to speak up the language of the body on a global stage and does not back down. Because the talk, it isn't just about how the talk got hidden. This is about what happens every time a woman refuses to shrink her truth to fit in somebody else's box and to conform and to contort. And I talk about this very specifically and explicitly, even in my TED Talk. So let's dive into the talk that they tried to silence and tried to refuse. But guess what, honey? It didn't happen. And I still won the game. So here I was in South Africa, just landing day one, when I get the notification that my TEDx talk goes live. I get the email, I get the celebration from the organizer, I get the link, and I am literally, if you're on my social media, you see me doing a happy dance. I am lit. Yes, this message, a decade, I've poured my soul, all my resources. Half of the year, I didn't work with a majority of clients except for a handful of clients that I chose. So I could devote myself to giving the most profound and transformative talk of my life, to give it justice, to give it my full devotion and attention. Not only have I invested 6 months into this talk, I invested resources, approximately $30,000 in this talk, between airfare and hotels, wardrobe, glam squad, videographer, a speaker coach, you name it. I've invested everything that I've got in this time, resources, energy, because that's how I live. If I'm devoted to something, I'm all in. There's no 2 feet out or 1 foot in. It's both feet in, 2 feet in all the time. And I just say this so you can understand the velocity, the intensity, the intentionality, the devotion, and really the depth of which this story is going into. And I invested everything. So here I am in Cape Town, got the news, doing my happy dance when I share it with my fiance. And he goes, wait a minute, babe. Your talk's not listed. Mid dance, I'm like, what? It's like a record, broken record. It's like, hold up. What are you talking about? My talk is not listed. Let me take a look. Took a look. Sure enough, he's right. My TEDx talk, The Pleasure Edge, posted TEDx speaker on the TEDx YouTube platform, hidden, out of sight, no visibility. I was like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? This cannot be real. This must be a mistake. So I immediately emailed the organizer, letting her know, hey, my talk is not visible. This is not what I wanted. This is not the purpose of doing my TEDx talk. It's to impact millions of lives and for this to be going far and wide as free education and resource. That's the whole reason why I invested all this time, this money, my devotion, everything to making this talk happen this year. When I could have said yes to next year's talk, when I got accepted to one in New York, I wanted this one. It was this stage, the audacity of she. It was this timeline. It was this alignment. It was this. And I knew it. But what I didn't know was that God had a bigger plan for me with this, because this was the biggest lesson for me in how good could I stand it and how to have really the audacity, which is to boldly interpret everything happening for me and have the voice and the power to still be a stand for me. How dare I? How dare I question my visibility? How dare I ask for visibility? How dare I email the head of TEDx? How dare I email the head of TED organization itself that same night, thanks to the encouragement of my fiance? Naeem's like, what are you talking about? You better find those emails and you better send them a message right now, letting them know that this is your life's mission, letting them know that you've invested everything in this. And I was like, fuck, you are right. And in that moment, I had a little quiver of, oh, fuck, am I really going to do that? Can I really do that? And then that whispered voice, my higher self, that intuition, it's just like, bitch, of course you are. Like that. You're going to email them like that. This is how good can you stand it? Could you stand to hold your power? Could I stand to hold my power, even in the face of potential rejection from my life's dream? Could I stand it to not just accept an outcome and push back for what I actually want, which is full visibility? So I emailed both of them on top of the TEDx organizer. And some of what I'm going to be sharing with you, they don't want me to share. They have explicitly said, do not share some of the feedback I'm going to give you. And up until now, I've honored it. Up until when I started that conversation with them back in August, I am now in the middle of October. I have honored it. And now I have come to a resolution, which I will share with you shortly through this episode, on where the fate and the future of my talk is, that now I can stand it good enough to tell you my truth and to not ever be silenced, no matter who it is, no matter what it is, because my liberation, my message, that's what I'm going to have to carry with me on my end of day, on my deathbed, on I'm taking my last breath. Did I stay true to myself? Did I stay true to my message? Did I stay true to who I knew I could be? And did I play full out? Or did I shrink? Did in any way I not live my message? I could not die happy, content, peaceful. It wouldn't. I would not have that peace of mind, but I would not have that peace in my soul and in my heart within my last breaths. And so I am risking it to create this very risky kind of episode to share with you the real truth behind what I've been experiencing in the last several months. So if you're wondering what happened with the talk, this is the latest. So my talk is still live on the TEDx YouTube. It is hidden. It is invisible. And you know what? I'm okay with that because of these reasons why. If I would have gone down the path that they wanted me to go down, which is to change my title, one of the things, which was to also change and remove my story. So what I did when I got the feedback after the email from my organizer, because TEDx themselves would not respond. I had one response from the head of TEDx. TED itself did not respond, but the audacity to message them, girl, got a response when they said they wouldn't respond. And they were curious to find out how much money did I invest? Why was it investment? What did I spend it on? And then the organizer let me know that they were pissed that I messaged them and had the nerve and audacity to message them. And she was going to be handling it. Now, she's amazing. She's great. I love the organization that I worked with. I have to just say they did an amazing job. And she went above and beyond to support me in this process of dealing with the TEDx organization themselves. But the feedback was that they did not think that my talk, first of all, was a clear talk, which meant they thought I had a political agenda. That's right, y'all. Female pleasure is now a political agenda. What the fuck? When I came back and said, I don't have any kind of political agenda, I have no political association, they came back and they said, well, do you have a religious agenda? Religious agenda? Absolutely no. I do not have a religious agenda. There's nothing behind it by me sharing that I'm a Middle Eastern woman who had a very strict religious upbringing that I broke free. Am I pushing a religion? Absolutely not, right? Tantra, not a religion in any way. It's philosophy like Buddhism. So no, I didn't have a religious agenda. No, I didn't have a political agenda. Then the next thing comes around. Okay, well, they didn't like that I was talking about the word cancer. The fact that I shared my story, which is my core story of how I healed myself from having pre-cervical cancer with alternative healing modalities, and that I became 100% cancer-free through things like meditation and breath work and tantric wisdom and philosophy, and how I was able to work with a naturopathic doctor. But the main thing was that I mentioned the word cancer, not being a medical Western doctor. And then number two, that I associated early childhood trauma using evidence from the Center for Disease Control. If you go watch my talk, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. From the Center for Disease Control that does have real life science and statistics behind childhood trauma associated with adverse experiences of illness as an adult. The fact that I'm bringing in something like the ACE score, there's only one TED Talk that actually talks about the ACE score in healing childhood trauma. And there's no talks that talk about healing cancer naturally and alternatively. Why? Because it's strictly forbidden from the TEDx organization or TED completely, as well as YouTube, I found out. You are not allowed to talk about healing yourself naturally from a topic like cancer. There is heavily censorship around that. Not just from the TEDx organization, which I had no clue, but also I was informed that it goes way deeper to YouTube, because YouTube is sponsored by and partnered with a lot of these Western medical big pharma companies. And so it's actually completely banned and censored to do any talks about that. So this is why I'm sharing about this on my actual podcast platform, because this is still free fucking speech. I can still talk to you about what I experienced, and it can still reach you farther and wider because I'm on a podcast platform which is not sponsored or in relationship with big pharma companies. Thank goodness for freedom of speech that still lives through podcasts. Like, fucking men to that. And so as I got these feedback, I thought to myself, my usual badass Josephina, fuck this, fuck the patriarchy. That was my first go-to thought. Was like, how dare they try to censor me and my story, and I'm never going to change. And then I just took a second beat and I took a pause and I took a breath. And then that same beautiful voice was like, girl, we got to win this game. We got to win this game. This is not how we're going to play the game and win. I've learned this from, being canceled on social media for being the pussy priestess and sharing so openly about female pleasure and genital mutilation and raising awareness on all these topics. People don't like that. I get that. So instead of trying to push it, I decided, you know what? What's more important? My position on I need this to be the way I want it to be, and I need to share my story and make it about me. And I realized it's not about me. It's about the message. It's about the healing. It's about the wisdom. It's about the opportunity. It's about the transmission that could literally change the course of someone's entire life. It could be the difference of someone hearing that talk and choosing a path of healing and liberation and empowerment and forgiveness, and learning that they are whole and complete as they are, and that they can heal after ancestral, generational, sexual trauma, crazy fucking childhood abuse, and they could still thrive and be orgasmic and alive and in love and in full radical and radiant health. That to me was so much more important than it needing to be about me and my story. And so I made a decision, which I never thought I would do and never thought I would say ever. I made a decision to play the game and to edit my talk so that I would remove whatever they consider to be bad science, even though I gave them over 15 peer-reviewed medical resources that back up where tantric wisdom meets modern science in nervous system regulation and somatic science. They didn't want to accept that science. They called it bad science. I also showed them documentation from the Center for Disease Control showing very clearly the link of early childhood trauma, of adverse childhood experiences linking to diseases, heart disease, cancer, depression, suicide. Very clear, concrete evidence from the Center for Disease Control that they also rejected and did not want to accept that type of science. They just don't like that science, bad science. So in order to be considered for visibility, I needed to literally edit my talk and remove anything with the word cancer, anything about mentioning cancer, even in the stats for the disease control, and taking out my story on the moment that I found out I was diagnosed with pre-cervical cancer, how that affected my nervous system, my mental and emotional health, and what I did about it. Removed all of that. I also had to remove the fact that I said that I am a living, breathing miracle against scientific statistics. They fucking hated that. There's like 65 emails throughout the TEDx organization literally tearing me apart for having the nerve to say these things. They couldn't even believe that I would get up there and say that, let alone that the organization would put my talk up there. But it's fucking true. It's true. It literally is true. And they don't like it. So to play the game, I took the me out of the story to keep the we in the message that everyone else needed to hear. That pleasure is an antidote to shame. That pleasure has the power to heal us, to transform us, to rejuvenate us, to replenish us, to open up a whole world of money and abundance and connection and orgasmic pleasure and bliss. And it gives us a connection to our power way greater than ourselves that is intended through our natural design, our God-given design. And especially as women, we have those 10,000 nerve endings. You're on my show, you know what I'm talking about. Like, this is how we are designed by nature. I played the game. I made the edits with my team. I made the edits very quick because I've got a great editor on my side. And I came back to do a submission. Now, here's something I want to really highlight. They put me in a position, or let me reframe that. I was put into a position because I don't believe in blame. I believe in divine circumstances. God put me in a position to learn this lesson. And I played it very strategically. I looked at everything from the meta perspective, and I realized that the position that I was put in is that if I do resubmit, they will take my talk down, which is already up, and I'm already have the title of being a TEDx speaker with all the hard work and investment and energy that I did as is, or I can resubmit, play the game, edit it the way that they want me to edit it so that I have a chance, not a guarantee, a chance at getting visibility on their large formed platform. And I wanted that chance. But I was also very acutely aware that if I risked it and I said yes to that chance that they would be taking down my talk and that there's a chance that they would actually just completely deny and not approve. I'm not going to use the word reject, not approve my talk. And therefore, everything would just be a wash away. No TEDx speaker title, no checking it off of my bucket list, no legacy living message that I could share, even if it was hidden. All of that would be gone. So I really took a calculated and strategic approach, more so than I ever have in any career move of my life. And I really slowed down the process so that I could look at every little bit and piece of what's being asked. What were the risks? What were the rewards? What weighed out what was my truth? And also, what was my standard of what I was willing to not actually do in order to potentially gain the chance of being on this platform, which was, my dream was to do the talk. I didn't manifest or think in my long-term visioning, lesson learned again, of like visualizing the numbers, the visibility, the platform, that extra step I could have done in my visualization manifestation, like the full end result. Lesson fucking learned for me, because now I'm really seeing everything from start to finish, from head to toe, from front to back, like not leaving any of the details out. That was a harder lesson for me to learn in this, manifesting of this talk, but really well earned and really well deserved for everything else that I'm going to be manifesting in life. And want this lesson to be instilled upon you as well in your visualizations. Think about everything, all of the details, visualize it, see the numbers, see the visibility, see the platform. I didn't do that, but that's okay, right? I gained something even greater. I gained massive growth in the form of advocating for myself, my message, and my talk. So as I made the adjustments, I went back, we resubmitted, didn't go to the platform, resubmitted it with the organizer. We looked at it again and again and again. And then I got more feedback. Had to edit it some more, had to edit it again, had to edit again. So I did probably about 3 or 4 edits. Then another edit came up where they didn't like the fact that I was saying tantric wisdom. Like that could maybe be pseudoscience according to them. So they don't want me to say the word tantra. They don't want me to say tantric wisdom. Although there are many TED Talks that talk about Buddhism and Buddhist wisdom, for some reason, they don't want tantra. So that was something that I took out. They didn't want the word orgasm, deeper orgasms, more orgasms, even though there are so many talks on orgasm, the science of orgasm and pleasure. My talk, they didn't want it. They thought it was too sexual, unnecessary. So I took that out. Right? Another thing that they wanted me to take out, which was questionable, was when I say in the somatic practice, slowing down to eat a strawberry and allowing a moan of delight to just escape my lips. They thought that that was too sensual for the talk and unnecessary, too sensual. So that for me was like, are you freaking kidding? That was like pushing an edge where now I'm like, they're getting to be very, very nitpicky. This is something I don't think is cool or I don't agree with. But if that one little line, I need to take it out to get this visibility to work, fine. I will be flexible. I will be flexible. So again, I made the 4th edit, invested money and time on my trip to in Safari doing these edits. Like, that's again the level of devotion I'm talking about. That's the level of audacity that I'm talking about. Bold action, showing up for the vision, for the dream, like not just sitting on a sideline and hoping and waiting for things to happen, but literally showing up for it to make it happen and to create the outcome that you want. Now, did I essentially get the outcome that I wanted? Well, here we go. This is what y'all been waiting for. I know. So my talk has been silenced because of all those pieces that I just communicated, right? They didn't like the science. They called it pseudoscience, even though it's facts. Other people support that science. They don't. Valid. It's their platform. They can do whatever they want. That was my attitude, right? And I was ready, just about ready to say, let's submit the next iteration of this. I edited it. I made sure it looked beautiful. It looked gorgeous. There was no way I was going to redo the talk and change the entire story and script. I was dialed in that this was it. I knew it in my blood and my bones. And so as I was preparing for this final iteration, I checked off all the boxes, did everything that they wanted, played the game, and was like, I'm going to fucking win this game because I'm playing it the way that they want me to. Then I could not in a million years could have predicted that the last round of feedback would be the straw that broke my fucking back. And I said, no more. No more. I'm done. I'm done playing this game, matter of fact. Because, and I'm going to read to you in a moment, what was that feedback? Because that for me was my line in the sand. I'm willing to be flexible. I'm willing to bend for the greater good. I'm willing to not make it be about me and egotistical and need my message to be out there on a platform. And that's fine. That's totally fine because I want to help people and I want it to be a free education masterclass for those that, are in India or in Africa or in the Middle East that maybe by some slim chance they watch the video and they come across it on the TEDx platform. And like I said, it could be the catalyst that changed their life. Like I can feel my heart open about that. Like that's the whole reason why I wanted to create this talk. And that's why I invested all my time and energy into doing this talk, because it was so important for me. It was so important for my generational ancestral healing and the women before me that never got to talk about these things on both of my lineage lines, like that would be killed or murdered or stoned or, literally like silenced and stoned to death for even talking about these things. So it was so healing and important for me to share this and to continue to liberate myself and liberate my ancestors and liberate my lineage line. And when it came down to this last level of feedback, I could have never in a million years predicted that one of the things that they wanted me to say in this last round, and I have my notes here, is the last round of feedback was they wanted explicitly for me to say and remove saying you're a Middle Eastern woman. Remove the part of my story that says I'm a Middle Eastern woman. More specifically, that I'm a confident Middle Eastern woman. I have to remove that line. You know what else they told me that I need to remove? They need me to remove that saying, in fact, pleasure is intelligence. They wanted me to remove that. What else did they want me to remove? They wanted me to remove that says, I'm a miracle against statistics. They wanted me to remove that. They wanted me to remove deeper orgasms. Fine. But the thing that was the last straw, you want me to not say that I'm a Middle Eastern woman and claim my lineage proudly? Are you fucking kidding me? No way in fucking hell. Never gonna happen. I am a proud Middle Eastern woman doing this work, having a voice on a fucking platform with the audacity to tell you that you can heal yourself without Western medicine or cutting your body, and that you could still be fertile and have kids and thrive and have multiple orgasms and squirt and have the most love of your life and live at a level of abundance beyond your wildest dreams by not doing those things. So fucking lootly, I'm living proof that's possible. You want me to tell people that I'm not a living, breathing, actual statistic against those science stats? No, I'm not going to do it. That for me was the end point. Game over. I have too much self-pride and honor and love, straight up self-love, to abandon these beautiful, precious parts of myself that make me who I am. A part of not just my identity or label, but a part of my unique, exotic, and exquisite soul expression of who I am as a high priestess, of who I am as Josephina Bashout in the frequency of my name. It is encoded in the intelligence and the intention of who I have come here to be, and to self-sacrifice and to self-abandon, Matt, just so I could be visible on someone else's platform and self-abandon at that level was not happening. Was not happening. And so what did I decide to do? I gave them a big fuck you. And I decided that I wasn't going to resubmit my talk. In fact, I was going to keep it exactly as I had it. No edits, no revisions. And I'm going to keep it on the platform. Yes, now it's the hidden TEDx file, the TEDx talks that they definitely don't want you to see. And I'm going to invite you to take that link that we're going to put in the show notes and spread it with me far and wide. Send it to every single woman that you know. Send it to every single person that you know. Help me spread this message of pleasure as medicine, the antidote to trauma, as far and as wide across the globe as we can together. I need your support in that to help me help others, because clearly the TEDx platform does not want to genuinely help people who need to hear this. And you will see in the comments how many people were already positively impacted and affected by this talk. How many people who were struggling with a bad day or were struggling with sickness or illness in the hospital who watched that video while they were in the ER and instantly shifted their physiology, their mindset, their mood by asking themselves that simple question, how good can I stand it? And redirected their focus to something that was more pleasurable, positive, and empowering. How many people asked themselves that question before they went to a big meeting and then landed a fat fucking check? Or asked themselves that question before they decided to make someone ghosting them on a dating app mean something bad or negative about themselves and raise their standard in love? Or help them not go into another suicidal or depressive thought because they chose to think about something positive, and ask and remind themselves that good things are coming and meant for them. So please help me spread this message far and wide as possible. I need you in this pleasure revolution. I'm not meant to do it alone. And for the sake of my message and my lineage, I'm not meant to water it down either, just for the visibility on other people's platforms. That is why I have this platform. That is why we have this unabashed community, to be here in these real, raw conversations that is too provocative for a TEDx stage, too provocative for fucking YouTube, too provocative for social media, but it's not too provocative for my platform that I own. And I can sit here right now and share with you the real truths that I've been experiencing over the last several months, candidly, openly, that these bigger organizations don't want you to know about, that they would not want me to share. But because I've made that decision to leave it up there exactly as it is, and to be at peace with it, and to trust that, how good can I stand it? This is that next iteration. Could I stand it to not self-abandon? You sure fucking right I could. Could I stand it to live my message to the depth of my soul? Abso-fucking-lutely. Could I stand it to share the truth on my own platform? Yes. Could I stand it to live at a higher level of authenticity? Could I stand to have audacity? Could I stand to trust that more goodness is meant to find me? Could I stand it to not take this information and make it mean anything about me or my career, or make it mean any kind of rejection? Yeah, what a pleasure. I could absolutely stand it better to not think those things, to not have that experience, to not go down that path. Absolutely, I could stand it. I could stand to have life be this fucking good, to live this high, to be this joyful, this happy, regardless of my circumstances, regardless of people's feedback, regardless of my talk being visible or not being visible, even though in the end, the goal that I wanted was for it to be visible. But could I stand to be happy with the end result regardless? And to feel like hand up in the air, good job, girl, that you fucking did it and you gave it your all and you literally messaged and emailed all the top people and you advocated for yourself. Could you stand to be that much in love and self-love with yourself, with your heart, with your message? Yeah, it's that good. I could stand that. And that's what I want. So I'm sharing this message with you all so that you have an update because you heard some of the talk from before, but you've heard me be a bit more silence on my TED Talk. But now you're going to start to see me talk about the journey more, the lessons I've been learning. I'm going to be sharing more of the snippets on my social media as well. And the truth for me is that no matter what, they can't hide a talk. There's still a link. And even if it's a talk, they can never hide a message because I live it. And anytime I show up and I share is every moment that I choose to never be silenced. The message will never be silenced. So what that organization didn't understand is that this was never just my talk or my story. This is our story, our collective story of choosing truth, of choosing healing and wellness and well-being beyond the big pharma narratives of what society wants us to believe, beyond what we think we should do in order to contort and to conform to be good people or good citizens. This is our talk, our story of how we've overcome adversity, of how we've healed and let go of childhood trauma and ancestral trauma through somatic practice, through tantric practice, through alternative healing, through the power of our body. And every single woman who has ever been told that she's too sensual in her tonality, her body language. Yeah, right. No, we're not too sensual, that we're too loud, that we're too big, that we're too emotional, that we're too much. This talk is for you. This talk is for us. Because if being too much means that we are standing with conviction, with self-trust in our truth, that we're standing for pleasure for the sake of pleasure beyond just the bedroom, but that we can bring that and experience and live that in every single area of our life, unabashedly living that way, unapologetically full in our expression of the feminine principle and core, then I'll gladly be too much forever. Because the only thing that censorship really does is it fuels trailblazers and leaders like me, like you, to fuel the revolution of freedom, of liberation, and really the erotic revolution. So whether they think my TED Talk will be hidden or not doesn't matter, because I know that what I'm sharing is not meant to live in the shadows. This conversation is bringing it right back to center stage and the spotlight, right where it belongs. This message is pulsating through women far and wide, every woman who's heard it and every woman who will hear it, and every man who supports a woman living in her pleasure, living in her turn on, because he knows it's a gift to him in his relationship, to their kids, to their bank account, to their life in and out of the bedroom, will also want to hear it. And it will also serve him and his family and his community. So this episode was emotional. It was definitely unabashed and very real. It was very vulnerable. And I just know that this will serve you in a very powerful, powerful way. And if it has, please reach out to me on Instagram. Tell me how this message impacted you. Comment on this episode. If you're listening to it on Spotify or on YouTube, comment on the episode. Please do share it far and wide. It helps the show grow. It means so much to me. And this is me living my devotion, breathing my devotion. And a reminder for you, my little last hot priestess advice: tell your story anyways. If people aren't listening or they don't like it, it doesn't matter. Speak your truth and have the audacity to show up in the fullness of you anyways, because your light is not meant to be hidden. Your story is not meant to be silenced. Let it move you, and it will move others all around you as well. Thanks for listening to this episode of Unabashed. Love you guys so much. And until next time.